This guy bought the house from the MLS for like 200 and sold it back on the MLS for 300.
You do not need an agent to purchase a home. What are you looking for? How do you find stars? Welcome back to Real Sense Now. I'm Bedrosian, and today I'm joined by Wael Georgey, UCF alumni, Eagle Scout, and founder of Properties in Town, your go-to broker in Central Florida. He started with fix and flips and quickly became the top-selling agent and now builds teams and thrives on creative financing, negotiating tactics, and providing elite service to his buyers and sellers. In today's episode, we're going to be diving into Orlando-specific market insights, team building tips for agents, financing strategies in high-rate environments, negotiating playbooks, and more importantly, whether you are a new agent, a seasoned agent, a buyer, or a seller, this show is the playbook you need. So let's dive in with Wael. Wael, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
How are you really doing today?
I'm doing great. Excited to be with you.
I know this is going to be such a good conversation.
We've been talking about doing this for a year.
I know, and we've known each other for a long time. We're both experts in our market. I think it's safe to say.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've watched you grow. You've been a top producer in our market for a long time. You're a broker, and you have a compelling story that I think the world needs to hear. Your wisdom when it comes to real estate has really turned the lives of a lot of people on your team. And I really want to hear those kind of stories today. And I want you to share, for a new agent coming into the market or a seasoned agent in the market, what are some of the tips, tricks, hacks that we adopt on our daily basis that is really the pivoting or turning point in the market that we're currently in?
I see.
So let's start off with this. What was the turning point that led you into real estate, for starters?
How I got into real estate? Graduated high school, and my father said, I'm going to pay for your real estate license. So it was easy for me. So I went ahead and I got my license, but then I didn't really do much with it until later on. It was around the same time that the economic crisis was about to hit. It was closer to 2008. I was licensed in 2005. So things were heating up 2006 and 7, and 8, you had the big crash. So that's how I got involved. So by the time I really wanted to get in, it was already a dead market. There were signs everywhere, foreclosures, no one was buying houses.
I think everybody's waiting for that to happen again.
I don't think it's ever going to happen again.
I don't know if it's going to happen like that, but we're definitely seeing a correction in the market. So I really want to get into the market, your story, what buyers, sellers, agents can do in these tumultuous times. Let's just call it that. Let's call it. It hasn't been easy this past year and a half when it comes to real estate. There's a lot of listings that are on the market. There are a lot of sellers that are looking to sell their homes, but there definitely are not enough buyers that equate to the number of listings in the market. I believe, if I am not mistaken, the last stat that I read was that there's 500,000 more listings than there are buyers for those listings.
Wow.
So interest rates, president changing in many different countries has also caused for shifts in our market. Tariffs, inflation has caused everybody to just kind of like pump the brakes and wait to find out what's going on. So I want to talk about that. And I want our audience, I want our viewers to understand what's really happening in our market.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share how you see it from your perspective?
So from my perspective, I will definitely share that with you. And real estate is local. There are still some areas doing good because there's low supply and high demand. There's like small cities in the U.S. that have good jobs, medical or either tech. In regards to Orlando, we have a lot of short-term rentals here. It's a massive market. It used to be a big part of my business, and
mine too.
Yeah. I mean it kind of almost disappeared. So I was getting a lot of leads that are investors buying short-term vacation rentals, and for most people who don't know what that is, it's renting out the property by the day, the week, the month. No
like
restrictions.
Like an Airbnb model.
Yeah, no restrictions on that, right? So when interest rates went from 3% for an investor to 7.5%, 8%, it kind of wiped out all the profits. And then now when investors are contacting us. We're buying these leads and they're contacting us. We can't even serve them. So we stopped marketing to them because the numbers don't make any sense. It's just answering questions at this point and pulling data and realizing this is not going to work. What am I going to do with this investor? He's not going to buy here. So, interest rates kind of affected that market heavily. Also in Orlando, I don't know to what extent the deportation thing had on Orlando. We have a lot of people from South America that had to leave. They were able to buy properties. There was a limitation on certain people from certain countries who couldn't buy. Remember, that also happened as well. Then we also have other factors that came into play, but I feel like most people are just waiting. Even rental rates went down. It's taking me a lot longer to rent a property. It's taking me like 40, 50 days sometimes to find a good tenant that has money in their bank account. I mean, I'm talking about we're getting applications from people who make $20,000 a month and they spend it all the same month with no reserves. So landlords have to think, all right, am I going to rent this property to this person? Is he one medical emergency away from going into eviction? Those are like, we have multiple rentals where we can't even rent to the right applicant. And same thing with buyers. Buyers are having a difficult time buying properties without getting the seller to pay for their closing costs. The majority of our closings at our office involve sellers not only paying the commission, but also paying the buyer's closing cost.
So is that the trend that you're seeing in our current market today?
Yeah, so the people took over the government's role of paying closing costs, right? The down payment assistance program disappeared, right? It's coming back in July. The hometown hero, I think we're gonna have $100 million up for grabs, up to like $35,000 per person. So that when that was gone, the sellers had to pick up the pace because most people here don't have money, don't have savings. That's how it is. I mean, our salaries in Florida are very low. We're not coming from New York or California with big salaries, working remotely. So I think that's an effect on our market.
And how do you see this turning around?
Well, not to get into politics, but I think we're about to have a new Fed chair. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I think interest rates will have to come down, I think, for get better.
Do you suspect that they may go down this year?
Well, there's been talks that there's going to be a recession happening the second quarter of this year, which I think we're in. They said second half of this year.
Sounds about right. I think the interest rates are more than likely going to go down more so in 2026 than this year. I think, everybody's holding tight to see, how these pieces are going to fall into play here as well too. But you weren't always in real estate. If I recall correctly, you were a fix and flipper as well too.
Yeah, I've done both. Yes. Yeah.
So talk to me about that.
So, in 2013, around 2013, actually, I can't remember the exact date. I had an investor who was buying properties in Tangelo Park in Dr. Phillips area, 32819. He was buying properties for like $30,000. And I was showing him homes like, man, I'm going to make $900. Like I'm doing all this work and it's $900 and I got to split it 50-50 with my broker. I
remember those days.
I'm getting $450. So all these agents.
And that's before taxes.
Yeah. So all the agents now that are making this big money, good for you. Because back then when I started, my commission, like a single family house, that's a 3-2, was selling for like $85,000 in Hunters Creek, Dr. Phillips.
When I first started in real estate, the first year I wrote 300 contracts for short sales and foreclosures. I never knew what to do as a regular, traditional, conventional realtor because my idea of selling real estate was writing up contracts, buying these, and then traveling internationally to go and sell them. So yes, I do know that same house that you could have bought for $120,000 or $200,000 in Dr. Phillips is probably closer to around $700,000-$800,000 today.
That's right. So after watching some homes, I'm said, you know what? Let me try to buy something. So I went to another area, which is like Richmond Heights. It's close to John Young, 33rd Street. And I found houses for $25,000 to $30,000 as well. And I like that area better because of the proximity to I-4 and other things. So I took out a cash advance from my card for $15,000. I used my $15,000 in savings. So I bought my first house with pretty much a credit card and a little bit of cash. And I put a tenant in there paying $900 a month. And I was paying, like the credit card will give you that money for a 2% fee up front for 24 months. And they were just giving away money. And then you couldn't get a loan from banks. It was so hard getting loans. So I bought my first property, my rental property this way, and I got my dad involved in another one. Then I bought another one using another credit card. So my first 3 homes were using credit cards.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and
I would definitely advise
they were up to
against
$30,000.
doing that,
They were
by
up to
the way.
$30,000. But no, it was a credit
Yeah.
card, but with 2% fee, and then you get the money for like you gotta make minimum payments for like 18 months, I think.
Yeah.
So that worked out pretty well. The best investment I ever made because these properties are now worth 250, and I kept them. I sold one. I thought I made real good money when selling it for like 60K, and then like 4 years later, it's 260K. Right now they're going for 300. Yeah,
Which is still a steal compared to many other cities and many other states in the country where you can't even touch prices like
yeah.
that.
But you're saying, can we ever go back this low? It's impossible.
I
It's
know.
so low, and thinking
can't
about it
even- yeah.
now.
It's below replacement value. You can't build at those rates. And I think that a lot of the sellers that own these homes have a lot of equity in their homes.
Yeah.
Yes, the interest rates are going up. Yes, there is an affordability issue. Yes, salaries are tight. There's no disposable income. And you can see that everything's become expensive.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, from the supermarket to the restaurant to, a bar, clothing, it's all gone up in price.
Yeah.
But I still think that we're very fortunate to be in Central Florida, a great big city, a great metro hub, which is affordable, valuable, and gives you access to everything that you want, from an international airport to the best theme parks, to just generally speaking, a great quality of life at a much cheaper cost of living.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't you agree?
I agree. I agree. And even real estate agents here, you have a lot of options. You do. It's a great place to be a real estate agent. There's a lot of opportunity. A lot of people are still coming to the city. We have a lot of new jobs, new corporations relocating. So there's a lot of opportunity here still.
So
But
if
not
you,
for flippers, though.
No.
If you're a flipper, you got to know what you're doing. You got to buy the property like at 50% off, 60%, maybe 40, 50% off. You have to have a real good margin.
yeah, it's hard these days because there's not a whole lot of value add to these types of properties, unless there's a way in which you can expand on the property, subdivide it, maybe use it, turn it into a multifamily if you want to do that instead. But yes, that market has definitely proved to be a lot tougher. I definitely get all the text messages and all the calls from, the random telemarketers that always are working with an investor looking for the next flip. And I'm thinking to myself, why would I give it to you if I could buy it myself? Right.
And when you give it,
So-
then like, no, the numbers are not good.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm wasting my time.
Exactly. I remember selling so many of these properties during COVID to hedge funds looking to get into the rental market,
Yeah.
especially here in South Florida. So we've definitely seen lots of that happening. But it's nice because I've been in real estate since just before the market crashed in 2008. And I've seen this real estate cycle that has been extended for a really long time with lots of growth. A typical real estate cycle is about 10 years. We've ran it for a really long time, and we really enjoyed the benefits of the appreciation, the cash flow, the mortgage pay down, especially for the people that were able to purchase these properties before COVID, because the prices were astronomical. These properties went up 30-40% depending on where you were in the state.
Yeah.
So it was a really great opportunity to be able to buy a lot of properties. Yes, a lot of people sold a lot of short-term rentals because everybody was fed up of staying at home, especially up north, and wanted to move to one of the states that was open, and we were open for business. I think Disney was open 6 weeks later or something. DeSantis said, keep the short-term rentals open. Let's get some people back in here. And it worked. I think right now, because people are afraid to travel, the rental rates when it comes to short-term rentals are on its way down. And, there aren't enough people traveling. It's not to say that that market has also become extremely saturated, but I know that you've had great experience when it comes to short-term. So while we've been kind of highlighting some of the negative things, but realistic things happening in our market, from your experience as a short-term rental, I'd like to call you a specialist because I sure as hell can learn a lot about Airbnb from you. What are some of the things that you can do as an owner that will really be the driver to generate more revenues from your short-term rental property?
That's a great question. All right. So most people hire a property manager, which I'm all for that, right? You need to have a short-term property manager, right? They don't need to be licensed, actually. Unlike long-term property managers, they need to have escrow accounts and reconciliate. So anyone can do it, and there are people arbitraging this property management business.
What is arbitrage, by the way?
Pretty much just just doing okay, so there's a couple different ways of doing it in this business. So there's rental arbitrage, right? And there's also property management arbitrage. So you can, I'm going to step back a little bit. You can have a long-term rental, and you could just take it from someone and turn it into a short-term rental. You're going to pay the monthly rent, right? It's maybe $2,000-$3,000.
So you're saying take the lease,
Yeah,
sign a lease for a year,
sign a lease, yeah, and
rent
then
it out on
for 2,000-3,000, and then a lot of times the owners in area, they're fed up of their property not making enough money because they have to pay a property manager and all these other fees and utilities. So then they'll say, I'll just do a long-term rental. What am I going to do with the furniture? So then they'll rent it to an investor who'll take it with the furniture, and then they'll take on the risk of putting it on Airbnb and working the numbers. They're pretty much, they don't own the property, someone else owns it. They have they have liability, right? And they're just paying the utilities, and they're taking care of this. But now people can make $200, $300, $400, $500, maybe $1,000 a month, and they, when I say arbitrage it, they do it to 10, 15 other owners, and they make really good money, right? So that's one way of making money. Or another way is, since you don't need to be licensed, is you find other investors that have Airbnbs and say, I will manage it for you. These companies are charging 20, I can do it for 10. And you have very little experience. Now with AI and all these other tools, you could copy someone else's experience in business and just portray yourself as someone who is highly experienced. You don't need a license. No one knows who you are, but all the data online presents you to be the expert with hundreds of properties being rented. So many people, I'm not saying to do it this way, but you don't know who you're dealing with when you're going online. You really don't. You got to look for
Thanks for clarifying that point.
Real client reviews. So some people arbitrage a true property manager's position by hacking data and being able to like create fake websites. And so that's why when an investor comes to me and says, oh yeah, this guy's going to manage my property. Well, what's their track record? Have done before, right? They're going to manage it for 10%, but then every time they change a light bulb, it's $25. How many light bulbs did they change? Are you there to check that out? How many, are they doing all these cleanings and extra things that they're charging for?
Fees, yeah.
So yeah, you think you saved by doing 10%, but you were probably better off with an authentic, real property management company who charges 15 or 20%, because you're still going to make more money with them. But what I would tell most people is I realized in the business, because I sold a lot of short-term rentals, I found investors that were managing their Airbnbs from New York.
Really?
Yeah. And they just, everything is digital, everything is automated through the internet. The cleaners are set up. I mean, we have automations as well, but pretty much the check-in, check-out process. Someone books online, they get their own specific code that changes when someone else books. So all the numbers constantly change. We have also dynamic calendars, dynamic pricing, right? Pretty much the closer we get to a booking date and that date is not reserved, the price drops substantially. So if you book in Mexico right now, and for December, you're going to pay maybe $1,000 a night. If you book it in December, you're probably going to pay $220 a night. So do you really want that unit, or can you just hold off and see if you can get a better price later on? So the closer you get, the better. Let's just say you have 4 days in a week booked out, but you have 2 days that aren't within that week. It's going to be very hard to book those 2 days. Who would want to check in on a Wednesday, check out on or Friday, right? But then we drop the price, and it's so good that someone says, I'm going to do a staycation, right? So these automated tools, that's what we tell them to do. And we say, hey, if someone wants to book more than 2 months out, I want the minimum booking to be 5 days minimum. Don't let it be 1 day blocking off my weekend on a Friday, on a holiday, right? So those are things that someone can make money. So investors that own short-term rental units, I would recommend that they can look into doing it themselves and saving that 10, 15, 20%, because it's really possible. You don't need to have someone local. Everything can be hired out easily.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because as you were talking, I'm tracking to, when we started to sell short-term vacation rentals, because investors we were dealing with between 2008, 2010, 11, really were predominantly interested in cheap condos, 50 grand, 100 grand, 75, 150, whatever the case may be. We were selling waterfront property in Daytona for low 200s, in beautiful high-rise buildings over there that were new. A few years old as well, too, at the time. Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely was, the gold of the time. And, I'm definitely happy to be a part of it. I've watched property management evolve from a lockbox attached to the wall to, a lot of companies really stepping up, a lot of communities increasing their offerings, their amenities, and really providing resort world-class service. In many cases, I believe some of these clubhouses are better than some of the hotel offerings that are available in our market. And we have some phenomenal hotels that cater to families alike with all the amenities, swimming pools, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really impressed as to how Orlando has really stepped up their game. I would say that my piece of it when it comes to property management, I think there are certain property managers that just dominate a community, and it's best to know who those top 3 people are and interview all of them. Figure out who you like to go with and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I will caution you, just because you're the biggest company online or in the country doesn't make you the best.
Yeah.
You can very well end up working with a mom and pop type organization that has 100, 200, 50, 70 homes that are going to put their heart and soul, their sweat into making your house a massive success. So it's really important to have all of the pieces lined up to ensure that you have a winning investment.
That's true.
I want to turn this around. You're a broker, you have a team of people that work with you, for you, you inspire lots of people, you have all kinds of awards, 20 under 40, what
35 under 35.
35 under 30, under 50. I was like, you're way younger than I am. Anyways, what's the one piece of advice that you give new agents that are looking to get into the real estate market?
All right. So it took me a while to gain success in a business because when you get in, there's a lot of noise, right? Nowadays, there's social media. When I got involved, there wasn't. So now there's a lot more noise, and you can be attracted to the wrong people because of their good marketing, right? So you got to know where you fit in. Number one. Number two, you know, new agents, you got to be like a sponge. You got to be able to be mentored, and you can't really look at money as your top motive because experience is more important, an opportunity. So someone new getting into the business, whether you are 18 or 50, it's going to be a different approach. 18 to 20 to maybe 30, if you have a mentor, he's going to make you hustle your butt off and do some things that he's not going to make a 50-year-old do due to respect and age and other things. It's just this reality. But let's just take age away, and let's just say you're just an open sponge. The thing you could really do is finding the right team that can provide you with leads so that you can get experience, right? You need to have experience. So here's what's important about experience. Because I was just thinking a little too hard, like I'm to my past, and I'm thinking like, what is it that someone would have told me that would have changed my life? Would be, I said no a lot, gave me a commission split that was low, and they would have accelerated my experience and my success in real estate if I thought more about the opportunity than the money. So I was very young, and young people are money hungry too, right? So they want to make the most, the fastest way, the laziest way, and I was that way too when I was young. But I joined a brokerage where they were easygoing people. They didn't believe in online marketing. So I kind of was a lot lost for a little bit because they didn't believe in spending money online, although I recommended it. If you're not going to spend money as an agent to advertise yourself, there are like 107 ways that I could show you that you can actually get business for free, right? Like you can go out there and get business, but you got to put yourself in those places.
Please do tell.
I will tell you. I have a spreadsheet that I can share with you. I brought it with me. I don't know where I put it, but there's a lot you can actually do. But what I would say is you want to join a real estate team that has sort of like an unlimited source of leads coming in, quality leads, right? Even if they're not quality, it's okay. You can practice with, Sync leads, Google leads, Facebook Market leads, but Zillow leads are the top leads. Like they're the best quality leads. Any team that puts you on a Zillow lead, like you should be extremely grateful because those in my company, those aren't leads that we give anyone right away because you have to earn your way in that placement because you got to know how to talk to them. You got to close them because they're very expensive leads. Now, if we do Google leads, they're $5 a click, no problem. $5 a pop, $10 no problem. You can process 100 of them, lose it all. It's okay. Then lose that 1 or 2 Zillow leads can mean a lot of money for us. So that's important. So an agent, I would also recommend that agents also practice script. A lot of times you feel like, you enter this business, you're just going to ask someone, hey, what do you want to buy? There's ways to talk to people, to persuade them, to have them to trust you, to be able to gather data from them in the most nicest way possible, how to handle objection, how to set up appointments, how to follow up. And also you have to be able to follow through with people. Some people are not really good at, I would say, managing leads and information. So part of being successful is your team will provide this to you. If you join a successful team, they'll give you a CRM, which is a management system to keep all your clients in it. In addition to that, we have AI enforced into it. So our agents have a couple hundred leads and they're on the road working. And let's just say 10 buyers go online and they look at houses. The system automatically reaches out to the buyer by text and says, "Hey, I saw you saw this house. Do you want to see it tomorrow? I can set up the appointment." And you're out there showing a house of, two other buyers. You have no idea what the hell the system's writing. But when the client writes back, "Yeah, I'm free. I want to see houses." Now you're going to follow up and say, "Wow, okay, I'm going to show properties. They're ready. They're ready." So it prospects on you while you're out there. So in these days, you got to have for you if you want to make good money.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key. I wish I had learned more of when I first started, because like I said, my journey in real estate was completely different. I literally sold real estate from I
From a
didn't
what?
a stage.
Oh, from a stage.
Yeah, I used to like do international property shows,
You were
and I used to
auctioning.
be this. No, I used to be the speaker. You want to come to Florida? Yes or yes? Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. So
wow.
we used to sell a lot of developments and a lot of product that way through off the stage.
That's a
And
nice way to do it, man.
well, I mean, at that point in time, people definitely wanted to come on a Saturday morning, and especially if we were in Canada for their, Tim Hortons free coffee and Timbits first thing in the morning is what everybody wanted. It was a really great opportunity, but it was a great time because Florida was a sexy coffee table or cocktail party conversation. Everybody
Yeah.
was talking about Florida real estate. Everybody was coming to buy something here. And the good thing about our market is, look, we're noticing it right now. We're seeing a correction in
Mhm.
our market. Texas, Austin, Dallas, Houston, Las Vegas, Arizona, California. And if you look at these markets, these were also the first markets everybody ran to invest in
Yep.
at various times. When you think about all the money that came in terms of investments for people that wanted to buy their first, second home, people on the Northeast basically traveled south to Florida because this is the closest beach for anybody up north. Whether you're in Canada, Toronto, Montreal, New York, Boston, you're coming direct south to Florida.
Mhm.
If you're in the middle of the country, you're more than likely going to Texas or you're more than likely going to Arizona. A lot of the people in Mountain West and the West Coast of the United States prefer to go to California, but California is too expensive. So everybody ends up going to Vegas or Arizona. And all of those markets have been really strong markets over time. They usually are the top 5 out of all foreign national investments in the United States. So even though you're seeing a dip, the dip is because there's just a ton of investors invest. It's not a local market, it's an international market. And I think that's the beauty about being here. So I think if you are an agent, there's so many sub markets to be working in. There's so many different ways to market. You have leveraged leads through Zillow, through your incredible systems that I would love to sit and learn from you. But more importantly than that, you've leveraged social media to really build a strong brand and to attract clients. Don't stop here. If you want to keep riding the wave, check out our next video to see what more Real Sense Now has in store for you. It's your host, Dawood Bedrosian. Thank you for watching Real Sense Now. For someone starting out or for someone who's been in the business for a long time, what's your secret sauce?
So honestly, being yourself and being authentic is one thing. I use social media to just kind of put out my life, which could be chaotic sometimes. I used to just walk around and show people my flips and the processes that I go through and
I
how
remember those
ridiculous
videos.
some things are. And then some very young reached out to me and they joined my company, and that was one of the ways that I've attracted people into my life. Is people just started sharing, "Oh, look at this guy flipping houses," and then they want to know how they can flip houses. So I help people for free. I'll show them, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." There's enough for everyone to eat, honestly. So I show people and help them out and just show them the way, right? And then some joined my company, some didn't. So just being authentic, being yourself, filming your life. There's no good or bad things that you can film. I mean, if people want to judge you, they're going to judge you for
Well, listen,
whatever. I
if
don't
they're
care what
watching
people.
you, they like you, they
Exactly, that's
follow
what
your
I'm saying.
content,
Yeah,
and
I'm
they
not
want to
worried about
hear
any
the
of that stuff.
messaging from you.
Exactly. Everyone relays information a different way, and then the right audience will stick around, pretty much, right?
Correct.
So yeah, I've met a lot of agents this way, man. Just sharing what I got going on. I do it to teach people. It's not like
But that's what it
I
is.
wasn't selling any products.
I think if I was to rephrase what I'm hearing you say, is become the educator.
Right.
Share whatever knowledge that you have. If you have it, just give it away for free. The truth of the matter is, even if you wrote the most incredible sales handbook. The likelihood of the person actually picking it up and reading it cover to cover is very, very, very low. So I'm available to everybody. I'm accessible. All my knowledge, whatever you need, systems, programs, Excel sheets, template, I don't care. I'll give it all away. Because I know a lot of people won't end up doing what you and I do on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's just human nature.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of this, in your view, what's the biggest mistake real estate agents make when it comes to social media marketing?
That's one thing I thought about a long time ago. Like, can I make a mistake? I'm going to post something. Is this bad? Is this bad? Well, a stage of like, posting things that are probably too personal. But that kind of shows people that you're like them, you're real, right? Then there's the side of you where like, hey, should people really know this part of me, right? Because there's personal things, there's that you'd think, hey, if people perceive me as else. So in the last 2 years, I posted a lot of parties in my house, and then now, oh, this guy's a party guy. I'm not. I don't want to be known as the party guy, man. Party night.
Unfortunately, you throw a good party.
But I feel.
Unfortunately, you throw a good party.
This is how people introduced me. And I was like, hey, this is Wael. He has a big house. He throws parties. I'm like, this. I'm like, good to meet you, man. I sell houses. But yeah, so like, it's just funny because that's how they met me, right? They met me this way, but then they didn't meet the real estate broker Wael or real estate flipper Wael. That's not. So, can you make a mistake? Well, my social media says who I am and what I do. So obviously there's no mistake there. But then also there's a personal life. I'm like diverse, just like how you are, right? You could go out and have a crazy night drinking, then you could go out and have a very professional dinner, then step into an office meeting. We blend in pretty well. We could do all different things. We're multitask. There's a word for it. I don't know what the word is, but multifaceted. That's the word. So yeah, I mean, the mistake. I mean, I would say they say there's no good thing as bad publicity. And some rappers and entertainers, they do crazy things before an album comes out, a movie comes out. They would literally get arrested to get attention so the movie can get sales, right? I'm not saying do something crazy so people buy a house from you, but we have people that dance for housing, people do crazy videos, people do reviews on restaurants and nice, cool spots in Orlando, and they get business this way. So those are really good ways to actually get business. But is there bad things you could do? Possibly, like, being very negative and cursing and being a negative person. That I would say that's a very bad thing to do. A mistake on social media is to use, like negative words and cursing and being an aggressive, mean person publicly. That's bad. Like there's influencers I see on Instagram. They're just cursing out other people and just being nasty, real nasty.
Quite dastardly, right?
Yeah, very, very nasty. Like, dude, but again, there's nothing we can buy from this guy. He's just making money off views, right? But we're in real estate. We're trying to sell houses. We need to have a good reputation.
And that's the thing. There's definitely a lot of social media realtors that really know much about what's going on, but they know how to market, and they really leverage themselves a lot of incredible ways.
Yeah.
And that I'm really glad to see. Listen, if you're new, get it. You want to show off your listing. Just listed, just pending, just sold another one. Guess what? If you're an agent, people appreciate it once, twice, thrice. Nobody cares what went pending or didn't go pending. If they were really interested, they would have called you and bought the house. I think there's a balance between push and pull marketing. Push marketing is clearly getting the word out there for whatever it is that you're pitching, promoting, selling, or whatever the case may be. But guess what? As much as people want to learn more or check out your cool listing or whatever the case may be. I mean, I did this video that went viral that said, this was the house Messi should have bought in Lauderdale.
Yep.
$30 million house. And it just went crazy. And the reason for that was we weren't, hey, check out this house, check out the bedrooms. Like, you wanted to watch the video from start to finish because this house looked like Bruce Wayne would have lived there. Like, you really need to have like a super alpha male, like a Iron Man type personality, because this house has like elevated parking spaces for his and hers. They have his and hers offices. The bathroom was incredible. I mean,
Wow.
just
And it actually
marble.
sold, right? Like 50 or 70 mil or something?
No, that's another one.
Oh,
But the point of the matter is we were able to pull people into our content. So just like you, I think it's really important to show your lifestyle, let people get to know who you truly are. But I think it's really important to keep your messaging consistent.
Yeah.
You know, even with doing the podcast, sharing inspirational thoughts, words of wisdom, sharing things that impress me. Yet the market's turning. I'm not getting as many listings as I did before because a lot of people are holding off waiting to see what's going on. They're not pushing as much real estate listing type of video tours and stuff like that like people were expecting to see. But if you don't keep your messaging consistent, you're going to lose some of your people. They're going to ask, are you still in real estate? Have you become a public speaker? Are you a podcaster now? What are you? So I think it's really important because a lot of people believe what they see. And unfortunately, we live in this world where social media only gives you the highlight reels of your life that shows that you're going through the best of whatever's going on with your life. Look, it's really challenging for an older agent to come into the market to try and do that because they may not be comfortable with social media or technology. But I think if you are a younger agent coming into this market, do not be afraid to go to the top of the mountain and scream at the top of your lungs to say, I am your realtor.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I keep telling people that all the time. So I don't like the way that I look, and I'm not wearing makeup, and I don't have my hair done. Talking about the guys here, not the girls. No, I'm just kidding. And I'm like, listen, this is the way you show up in life. You know, either people want to hear the messaging coming from you, or they're going to hear it from somebody else. Who's it going to be? Yeah?
You're right. You're right.
Changing times, beautiful times. Talk to me about how you create your teams. You know, in the real estate business, one of the greatest way, well, actually, in any business, right, we also like trading time for money or money for a deal if we're doing transactional stuff, working on a commission, whatever the case may be. The next level up is to organize teams, become a team leader, run a brokerage. How do you go out and hire agents that match your values? What are you looking for? How do you find stars?
Right. Yeah. The way I do it needs to change a lot, right? Because I'm not in a hyper growth phase. I wanted to enjoy my life in a way. I want to have a lot of stress of just chasing money, just being in a rat race, right? Or, oh, this guy has 20 people, 50 people. I want to do the same. You know, I kind of left my hiring process up to nature. And that probably didn't work out too well sometimes because if you lose 2-3 agents, now you have a gap you need to fill. And I have to go in there and work myself, right? I wouldn't say that look, if I want to have agents, I can have that in about a couple months if I wanted to. I know the right strategies to hire, but that means I need to get an office space. I need to hire a trainer. I need to now, be a bigger broker mentor to all these people. That's not where I want to be. I have enough investments where I'm living comfortably. I'm enjoying my life. I want to make more, yes, but in other ways and other avenues. This brokerage is good. It's doing well for me. The way I hire people is people typically will come to me and ask for an opportunity. Okay. And then if I feel like they're fit, then I continue the conversation with them. Most importantly, through interacting with them and meeting them, identifying what their needs are, asking a couple Q questions to understand exactly if they fit in the right kind of vibe that we're in. And if they're going to be coachable, if they're going to be stubborn, if they're going to be inconsistent. It doesn't take much for me to hire someone. It also doesn't take much for me to fire someone. So if I feel like I scanned them properly, I'm going to hire this person. Then I will give them a couple of documents to read. The process is, welcome to the team. This is what you need to do. Let me know when you get it done, right? Depending on how long they take to get these tasks done, I would know the kind of seriousness that they have towards the business. If they take a week, I think that's too long. If they take 2-3 weeks, they're already done. They're out. They don't know it yet, but they're already out, honestly, because you're taking this long to do a task that I gave you. That means that this is not a priority in your life. I want to deal with people that are priorities because I made the mistake in the past of hiring people, going on LinkedIn, Monster, and hiring a whole bunch of people and thinking that everyone's going to have the same mentality as me. that as if they want to come and make money, they want to learn, they want to be hungry. But when I realized is I'm pouring in all my love, all my energy, all my like everything that I know, my knowledge, into the kids that I was hiring. They could be older or whatever. But mostly I targeted younger ones because I wanted to have flexibility of movement. They don't have kids, they're more accessible. So and I would realize that just like this is not serious for them. It's just like another thing, right? Oh, I got my license, so just another thing. Like, oh, they can do Uber, they can do this, they can do that. They're doing too many things, and that's what I was doing when I was young. And I'm past that, and I understood what I need to do. One thing and one thing only. Focus on it, kill it. You're gonna do. But if once you start diversifying and doing too many things, your energy is not focused. You're all over the place. Add Instagram on top of it. You have ADHD. You're still on Adderall. There's so much crap going on. This young generation, I feel sorry for you. They're like 80% of them take meds, and middle, it's a large number. They all have ADHD. They're just focused. And then again, you add this technology on top of it. It's worse. I mean, like we're dealing with it now at this age, but we didn't have it when we were younger. We have 100 screens opened up with 3 monitors. We're like, it's overwhelming, man. It's bad. So anyway, to backtrack here, I would give them these tasks. If they do the tasks, then I already know I got to be careful with this person. Let me just maybe give them another try and see what's going on, or maybe not. They'll stay on the team, they'll fall off, they'll go somewhere else. That's fine because they weren't serious. But if I give someone these tasks and they're asking questions, they're getting back to me, now I know this is someone I'm going to invest my energy and time and knowledge into. Because you're coming in to work with someone and you're being mentored one-on-one with a broker. You're not just like being trained with someone who's taken half your first check or 3 checks and then you're off. You're like being mentored by someone who knows tricks of the game, who can help you close more deals and be accessible to you. It's a different kind of opportunity here, but some realize it, some don't. So they go through this process, of me asking them questions, me asking them to do certain things. They do it, they fill it out. That's great. Then I test their knowledge on the MLS. There's no point in a real estate agent going to work without understanding how to use their tools. It's like going to war without understanding how to use your
artillery,
your machinery. Yeah, exactly. Like you use your tools, right? You got to know what time it is. You got to know like how do I find homes? How do I automate the home delivery alerts to the buyers? Right? How do I even target a seller for the MLS? There's a lot of things we could do. So I would make sure I test their knowledge on this. Once ready, then they can start getting leads from our CRM system, and then eventually they'll graduate into getting the top tier, right? So that process is important for me because I'm not going to go from A to Z. I'm going to do A, B, C, D. You got to work your way up gradually, and a lot of times agents really get from A to Z fast, and then they learn the business very well and they go on their separate way, and I'm happy for them, right? Because that's good. That's just life, right? I'm not going to cry about it. I'm not going to try to drag you back in. The moment someone says I'm leaving, like that's it, it's over. Like I'm not trying to win you back. I'm sorry. Because it's just like even in a relationship, if someone says no to you, it depends. It depends on your love and your care. And there's more emotions involved. If someone says, you will maybe want to find out why they're leaving. Did I do something wrong? Can I fix it? But a lot of times people leave and they come back because they realize they got pitched. They were home, but they got pitched another deal. And then they go to it. It's like, this guy cheats on his wife. It's like, oh my God, what did I do? This is bad. I got to go back. No, what do I do? No, but I've had agents come back to me and say, hey, I want to come back. No problem. I've had this happen multiple times.
How quickly are your agents market ready?
How quickly? Depends. If I hire someone, okay, so I used to hire people with no experience because then you can train them from A to Z, right? Then when you hire someone with experience, they want to come in at a different commission split because they have 150, 200 deals, in their record, and they know what they're doing. They just want to use their brand name and they want to just operate with freedom, right? Hey, I just want to use your license, you a fee, a small percentage, whatever the case may be. We negotiate that agent by agent based on their history and, no ethical complaints or any issues. If someone is brand new with no experience, I would say it will probably take you a good 6 months to get it going.
I would agree with you.
I mean, I would tell them, look, you're learning. This is not going to be full-time as you're learning. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to take your time. We're going to show you houses. We're going to make you show houses. We're going to ask neighborhoods, the communities that we advertise in. If I'm pulling data, if I'm buying leads in 10 zip codes, you are going to be a master of these 10 zip codes. When a client comes in, they know more about that community than you do. So I need you to know some things about these communities. They know the HOA more than you do. Like these online shoppers are more educated than the realtors who took a 70-hour test. These buyers have been shopping for 70 hours in this community. You just took a real estate exam for 70 hours. You know nothing about the community, and pretty much the buyers are telling their agents what they want
But I feel like that. But I feel like that's how real estate technology.
Yeah, correct.
Before, you used to be able to
We were the gatekeepers.
show, yeah, and you were like, hey, these are the 4 best houses in this zip code, right? In these communities or whatever the case may be. Now they have access to all the information, and I really see that the future of real estate is going to be like a lot of these prop tech companies.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're working
Unfortunately.
to be a glorified Uber driver to open doors and
It's
show
happening.
houses.
It's happening. It's happening right now. It is. It is. I mean, we own some corporations that are a substantial amount of referral fees, and we feel like we're over. We feel like door openers because we used to pay out 25% referral fees. Now it's up to a lot. It's almost double sometimes on some deals. But in reality, they procured the buyer or the seller.
Yep.
They procured it, right? All we have to do is just put our name on the deal and it's sealed, right? So back in the day, it took a lot more time, a lot more energy, a lot of upfront capital.
Well, it's a lot more time now too.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
It's a lot more time as well.
Something what happened to Uber is going to happen to real estate. It's going to happen to attorneys. It's going to happen to a lot of people, especially with the advancement of AI. And I would say if you really want to make money, you got to really figure out a nice niche in the business that we're in. Whether your niche is going to be luxury real estate, whether your niche is going to be new construction, whether it's going to be flying drones over houses and dancing at the bottom so you can sell the house, you got to do something special and different because half these agents are going to get wiped out of this business pretty soon, man. We don't need half of them. Everything's automated. Right now, the buyer can reach the seller directly and do a contract for a flat fee. They don't even need us anymore. Like the contracts, it's not a secret. Everyone has the contracts. AI will to negotiate the contract.
Listen, I'll be the first person to tell you, you do not need an agent to purchase a home.
Yeah.
You do not need one. You'd be making a big mistake if you didn't have one.
Yeah.
Especially if the commissions and closing costs could be something your agent is negotiating on your behalf from the seller and have it paid by them. You need the human touch.
Correct.
You need that human hand involved in it. It's belly to belly. You need to go out there. You need to get to know the people that you're working with. You can have all the technology in the world.
Right.
We still are in a relational business. You are assisting the most expensive purchase a human being will more than likely make in their lifetime.
Right.
And you're the driver of this journey with this buyer. Mm-hmm. So it's really important for you to focus on learning, not earning in the beginning, get the right information, learn the right systems, learn how to negotiate, learn, like you said, objections, how to deal with stuff in order to provide the absolute best service. Look, we've all gone through the changes. This last year with the, decoupling of commissions was, a bit of a debacle. We're all adjusting, and I have to say, they tried to reduce commissions for a lot of people because there was this perception that, it's been negotiated, that 6% commission is out there for everybody. It's not true. Commissions have always been negotiated. But as a matter of fact, there's people that are probably making even more money on a commission basis now, just based on that decoupling. If you love powerful stories, expert advice, and conversations that actually make sense, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and join us every week for more inspiring episodes just like this one. The question is, for a lot of the agents that are on your team that are going through this market, it's been a little slow.
Yeah.
How do you maintain your inspiration during these slow times, especially when you're in a high interest environment like we're in right now?
Stay in contact with the agents. I try to have one-on-ones with them to see where they're at, what's going on, to see if, even if agents need financial support, I'm always there, like they can do draws if they need to. Not saying that's happening, but that's something I've put out there. If you guys need assistance, I'm willing to help because, there are some, those are agents that go into, they become family. One thing that I do as a broker is I'm able to buy more leads. That's going to lead to more closings, right? I'm able to assist them in marketing ideas, how to differentiate themselves, having admins to reach out and make phone calls to follow up and follow up with the buyers agents that showed the property. And we do have a lot of buyers that aren't really making a move, and agents are working and they're waiting on their next paycheck, right? So it's not. I would say it's I wouldn't say it's something that's deterring them from staying in the business. They are still going to be in the business. It's slow, and I just explained to a lot of the agents that that are constantly. I'm more the agents that are on my. I have a team and also have a brokerage within the team. So I'm trying to differentiate that a little bit. I have a team of about 20 agents, and I have a brokers of around 20 agents, and I have a team that I work with directly that manages my business. That we have five members in. So that team I'm heavily invested in as far as like one-on-ones and motivating them, encouraging them to stick it up and keep going.
I would say the number one thing buyer, seller, agent needs to do in this market is to stay in communication with the people you're working with.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
They need to be informed. They need to know what's going on. If you don't have any showings this week, call your seller and say, this is what's going on this week.
Yeah.
Right. It's a lot of hand holding and micromanaging, but a lot of people's expectations need to be managed during these times. And I think a seasoned agent is going to be the game changer for you, a buyer or seller, having the right team around you that's going to be able to help you with all aspects of your transaction, from title to financing to property management to furniture packages, and the list goes on. Let's turn this around a little bit. If you could send one piece of advice to your rookie self starting off in the Orlando market, what would it be?
If I would send an advice, it would be don't buy houses, buy Bitcoin.
At the time, you mean?
Oh my God. I sold my Bitcoin.
It's a different conversation for a different day.
Because I know it's funny because you're saying that correct. That's true. State in a way resembles it for me, but that's another story. But I would say one thing I would tell my younger self, right? I think I talked about it earlier. Is don't chase just chase the training. You said it in a better way. Pretty much, you gotta learn first. You gotta learn the business very well. Learn from a good mentor, and work the leads. Learn objections. Like I've picked up CDs, and I would listen to them in the car, how to deal with objections, how to get for sale by owners, how to deal with expireds. I've done also marketing, man. I've lost so much money on all different campaigns. I've done mailers, I've done magazines, I've done flyers, I've done everything you could imagine. And the only thing the best thing that worked for me has always been Zillow. Some companies are different, but for me that's been that. So it took me maybe I would say 6 years before I bought my first campaign. That's because everyone around me didn't believe in it. They were all just like dinosaurs, man. Like they believed in like the coupon booklet, man. That's what they advertise in the magazines and coupon booklets. I'm like, the world is online. Like I had my IT degree. I'm like, we need to go online. No one does online. Not for real estate. Not for real estate. Everything else, yes. I'm like, all right. So I did my first. It was Trulia back then before Zillow bought Trulia. So I did a Trulia campaign. I did a Zillow campaign. I spent $1,200 on each, and I was rolling in leads, man. I was like, wow, people are buying. And I just sold a house last week. I sold a house to an investor that I got from Trulia, I would say around 12 years ago. She bought 3 houses from me from Canada. She came from Canada, bought 3 houses from me. I rented them and managed them for her for so many years. And then we listed it this year and we just sold it. So also building relationships worked out pretty well. But yeah, I was saying invest in marketing. If you have the money, invest in marketing. If you don't have the money, get on a team that will invest in marketing.
For those who are considering opening their own brokerage, what's the one big misconception about boutique brokerages in our market that needs clearing up?
Opening a brokerage. Okay, so back when I opened my brokerage, it was like a prestigious thing, It was like a big thing, like, wow, this guy's a broker. There weren't all these 100% model brokers out there, all these franchise brokers. I could print you out 100 brokerages tomorrow. If you sign a deal, I can print brokerages in all states if I needed to. Obviously, if I'm licensed there, if I have brokers there. So it's no longer what it used to be, man. To be a broker doesn't make you any different than being a high producing single agent. It's just more responsibility. You don't need to have a brokerage to make the kind of money I would make, or to be able to have the freedom a broker has. You can just be a team in a brokerage at 100% split and charge your agents 50-50, 80-20, 60-40, whatever you want, right? You have models like EXP, La Rosa, LPT. Those brokerages provide a platform for anyone who wants to excel in this business to have like a broker-like model. Why do you want to have the responsibility that someone like me would have?
I would agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I would agree.
I believe what these companies did is they provide an opportunity where other people can excel, and they don't
But
have
I
to
think
be.
it just depends on the type of person and type of agent and how you actually like to work. And what I mean by that is, I love EXP. Trainings are great. There's so much support. But for some people, they may actually want to walk into a physical office. They may want to sit down with the broker, the trainer, the office manager to have those kind of conversations.
Correct.
For me, my office is on my phone, in my car, and or wherever I go. That's the difference.
Wow.
So I don't need hand holding, but I've also been doing this for a really long time. And I've learned a lot of different things that really need to be done in order to elevate your game and actually become a better educator and communicator to the people that you're communicating to, that are following your message, that want to work with you, that are prospecting you in advance in order to be able to work with you. So I love this because I don't personally buy leads. I don't like them. I don't think they're usually that good. I know you're trying to convince me otherwise. We're going to talk afterwards. Internet leads, generally speaking, have not been the greatest, but anyways, the point is everybody's got a niche, and I think you really need to kind of focus on figuring out what that is. I definitely want to tap into a lot of people that are also looking to pivot in this market and are looking to do other stuff. There's a lot of fear involved. What was that quiet fear you carried when you transitioned from fix and flips to founding your brokerage or any other journey or endeavor? Because I know you have your hands in so many different cookie jars.
So there's, I've had my real estate license, and like I told you, you got to know how to use your tools properly. So, and you also like being curious and motivated and interested in your field, looking at it more than just a job, look at it as like a career, and like this is what you want to do, gave me the insight and opportunity to actually dive into the MLS and notice something that was like made me think twice. I looked at a house, I said, wow, that's a nice house. It's selling for 300. And I looked at the history. Some people still don't know how to look up a history of a house with a click of a button. I look at the history, I'm like, whoa, this guy just bought the house 3 months ago for, did I say 300? He just bought it for maybe 200, whatever the number is. It was like $100,000 difference. He just bought the house. This guy bought the house from the MLS for like 200 and sold it back on the MLS for 300. And then a light just popped open in my head, and I was like, whoa, what else did this guy do? I look back, I'm like, whoa, this is what this guy does. He goes on the MLS and buys houses and sells them on the MLS. I don't even need to go to the auction. So like I reverse engineered that strategy. And his name is Fernando Holmes. I don't know if you know him, but he owns a Century 21 now. But I was looking at it like, wow, this guy is a master flipper and he's smart. He knows what he's doing. So like I looked at his strategy. I'm like, I'm going to do that. And since then, I've been buying on the MLS and selling on the MLS, and nobody knows it. Nobody knows. Man, I would buy a house and add a closet and make $40,000.
That's crazy.
And maybe like a paint job. Because now you go from a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom, and it's open. Then I did it again like 7 months ago. Bought a house that's a 2-2, right? And then I added a wall and a closet, and I made like $60,000 in this market. And it was in a low income neighborhood. And I was like shaking. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work out. I don't know if this is going to work. I bought it for like $220. Then I negotiated before closing. I said, I'm going to back out. I don't want this house. Like, why? Like, it has problems. I want to get a deal. I want $15,000 off. They gave it to me. I'm like, okay, we'll go. We'll keep going. Because the roof, we don't know when the last changed. There was no records. So I don't want to buy a new roof. But then I got a roof certification. It had 10 years left. That's great. So anyway, so then I went in there, added some money, did whatever. And it's just worked out. But then, talking about pivoting is that like this is a recent pivot that I had to do, knowing that the market was just adjusting, and I didn't know if the price was just going to be there. I don't know if I was going to make money on this deal, but when I moved to fix and flips, we bought our first house, and I learned for the first time finding the right team is very important, because I got quotes from the first contractor for $45,000. I looked at my dad and I'm like, man, we're not going to make any money here. What the hell did I do wrong? Like I thought, it'd be cheaper to fix this house. Then we got more bids. We went on Craigslist. We found out where to find the right people. It wasn't Craigslist, but that was our process. Then we found different websites.
Is Craigslist even around?
Yeah, I mean, I use Thumbtack, Angie's List, and Thumbtack is where I really find really interesting contractors, and also referrals from other people in the business. Sure. But I was able to renegotiate all the items that this contractor wanted for $40K. We brought it down to like $19K with another contractor. We sold the house. We made a good profit. Then I looked at my dad and said, we can keep doing this, because we were in the taxi business back then. And then I was like, damn, man, we've been in the taxi business for the last 3 years. We've been flipping for 3 years, making in one deal what we made in a whole year. It's like, damn, man, there's always another level ahead of you. It's something else in life. We bought our second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and since then it's been like maybe 50 houses we flipped. I flipped on my own many more, but together we've probably done like maybe 15 together, and he's done some on his own. I've done some on my own. He would buy on his own. I'd buy for both of us. We just kept doing that on the side, as having our my brokers running. And then I started the Airbnb business soon after. Once one of my friends was like, hey man, don't flip this house, you should Airbnb it. I'm like, whoa, another world. I'm like, nah, why? It's like, I can make a quick 40 now. I was like, no, Airbnb it. And that was a great thing he told me, because since then I've so many other properties that became Airbnbs. Because in 1 year, if I was to flip a property, make $40,000, pay capital gains of 35%, or keep that property as a short-term rental, which made me more than $40,000. I didn't know that for the first year. Now I've had that property for like 8 years. It paid itself back like twice, right? And I still have the equity in the property. I still have the property. And I'm like, wow, this is great. So in some properties, I just Airbnb them instead of just flipping them. It just depends. Some I'll hold for a year now. My strategy's changed since, you start paying taxes, like a lot of money every year. Like, hey, maybe I should hold on to some of these properties, you know? So that's...
Well, you definitely bought it at, at a great price. And I always tell, people that I'm working with, when I teach my investor clients as well too, you make money when you buy, not when you sell.
That's right.
Because there's a lot of mistakes that can happen along the way that can really drive the price for change orders, or like you said, getting quotes that are too high and just working with the wrong people can be a bit of a headache. Mm-hmm. So you really need to mitigate your risks, and you really need to be in a situation where you're driving the success you're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a really incredible conversation. I really enjoy being able to engage with you and learn more about the market from your perspective. I'll leave you with one question that everybody is probably looking for at the end of this. If you were to leave the audience with one great piece of advice, and the audience being specifically a new or seasoned agent and a buyer and seller, what would you say to them? So break it up. Seasoned agent or new agent?
If they're a buyer, seller, or an agent?
No. Buyer and seller, and new agent or seasoned agent. What piece of advice would you leave them with for how they can navigate what they should be doing in this market?
All right. For a seasoned agent, I think they've probably gone through the ups and downs in the business before Corona, during Corona, after Corona. I would say there's hope in the future. Keep at it. Don't give up.
You might need a Corona right now to hang in there.
Yeah, keep at it. There's a lot of good, Orlando market is still a market, and we all know it, Yeah. For new agents, you have to put yourself out there. And like you said, you got to climb up to the mountain and scream, because there's a lot of noise. If you meet a buyer or seller and you don't stay in contact with them, another realtor is up there screaming, because they're going to take them from you.
I love it.
Yep. So, and for buyers and sellers, I would say buyers, this is an opportunity to buy with interest rates the way they are, right? Because you are pretty much what they say, you're rate, not marrying it, right? So, you could always drop your rate by refinancing in the future. If you find your lifetime home, the home of your dreams, right? Would you pay a little extra for it, an interest rate for now, and refinance later? Yes. So keep your options open. Keep looking at houses, because the right house that may come in today may not be available in 2 years when rates are a lot better. So get it now, refinance later if you can afford it. And for sellers, just pray. Pray. We don't know if we're going up or down. We don't know. It's a roller coaster. We just sellers. It's just gonna
look. I have the add-on to what you said for a seller. I think that there are three things that at least can put you ahead of the curve when it comes to listing your property. And those three things are location, condition, and price.
You can't control location.
Can't control location. You can control condition.
That's right.
And you can control
right.
the price.
I tell people price is your biggest advertisement. Seller's like, my house is not selling. I'm going to replace you. I'm like, look, I told you what to list your house for. That's your biggest advertisement. Like, you're not doing open houses. You're not putting out signs. I'm like, look, open houses is for real estate agents to find new buyers for other properties. It's not to sell your house, man. Go ask AI, man. We're beyond this. This is a conversation of
People are watching your pictures and video of the home on social media, on platforms. They already know everything about the neighborhood just based on being on their iPad.
Open houses for curious buyers who aren't ready to buy or just looking around, have nothing to do on a weekend. Serious buyers would have found your house, nailed it down, and knocked on the door and said, I want to buy.
I agree. And I agree with you. I think now is a wonderful opportunity. And I think that there could be a further correction. We're definitely seeing prices being decreased as time is going on. So if you're a buyer in this market, date the rate, get refinanced, and get into a better home that you can pull equity from in the upcoming years, but get into something, especially if you can get it at a much better price. Today's sellers are more than likely and willing to work with you, give you concessions at closing, offset your costs of paying your broker by paying your broker on their behalf. There's a lot of things that you can do in this market than when you're in a hot market with multiple offers.
When rates get better, you're not going to get the closing costs and you're going to pay $50,000 over asking price like everybody else did 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what you're absolutely right. Well, thank you for being a guest on the show. It's been a real honor.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask this question to tie it all up together, because I'm always curious to know who people's inspirations are. If you could have dinner with anybody dead or alive, who would it be? 3 people.
Wow. 3 people. One would be Jesus. I want to have a dinner with him. Number 2, alive, not dead. Number 2, my grandfather. And then number 3 would have to be Satoshi Nakamoto.
Is he alive? We will never know.
Does he exist?
We will never know. Thank you for joining Real Sense Now. It's your host, Dawood Bedrosian. Stay tuned for new episodes that are coming up every single week. Please like, follow, and share, because with your support, we can grow as a channel and be able to continue to bring some incredible guests and bestow you with whatever wisdom and information we can share with you. Thank you and have a blessed day. If this episode brought you value, imagine what's coming next. Subscribe now, give us a thumbs up, and be a part of the Real Sense Now family. You'll be glad you did.